How does one change a flat 2D game where the objective is to just eat pellets and avoid ghosts into a 3D in-depth adventuring game with characters that need developing? Stay tuned to the review and find out. So today's review is going to be over Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures. If you didn't know, there is a new TV show, relatively new, where Pac-Man was rebooted into more of a lovable character, as covered in one of my news stories. Pac-Man and the Ghostly Adventures is the name of the show, and coincidentally the name of the game as well. The video game is a 3D platform game based on the TV show series developed by Namco Bandai Games and Namco for several game systems like the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, Wii U, Windows, and of course the 3DS. Please bear in mind that the 3DS versions are different than the console counterparts. So, let me first state, before we really get too far into the nitty-gritty, I don't like this game, and I played it extensively. My daughter likes this game, but let me be frank when I say this, she can't get anywhere in it. Pac-Man takes the approach of dumbing things down for children in an extremely awkward and stupid way. For one thing, I wanted to make mention before I really got in depth with this. There are several channels that have extreme walkthroughs of this game on YouTube, and I literally cannot figure out the reason. This game, at best, is probably a 5 out of 10, and I know that's kind of spoiling the rating system that I normally use for games, but really, it's mediocre at best, guys. First, let's focus on story and development. Well, I literally have no idea what the F is going on, so let me summarize what I do know. In the game, you're thrusted into Pac World, apparently, and there's invading ghosts. Not Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde, but they're cousins, or kindred spirits, if you will. Ha, I knew I'd work that joke in sometime. At any rate, these ghosts don't like Pac-Man. What kind of ghosts are there? Well, let's just go down the roster here. Besides Inky, Blinky, Pinky, and Clyde, which don't really affect you most of the game, there's Glooky, Mavis, Spectre, Fred, the Cyclops Ghost, Fire and Ice Ghost, Tentacle Ghost, Guardian Ghosts, Aqua Ghost, Drillbit Ghost, Alien Ghost. Yeah, there's a lot of ghosts. So let's just go ahead and assume right now that these ghosts don't like Pac-Man for some reason. Again, it's not really explained what is going on. You're just really thrusted into the game, okay? The backstories of every character aren't exactly told either. So, in the beginning, you will have a lot of I don't know what the F is going on or why. But that's not the problem with the game, because as we all know, being raised in the 80s and the 90s, stories weren't that friendly to the gamer. You might get a screen that tells you what's going on, and that's it, and you're assumed to play the whole game under that assumption. Even that would have been great here, because I really had a tough time committing to Pac-Man and saving these people when really I had no reason to. I don't care. Is the city going to be destroyed? It doesn't look like it's being destroyed. It looks like it's being invaded by ghosts, and these ghosts don't seem to be really doing much. At one point in time, the ghosts put the citizens of Pac World into a gooey bubble, and you have to eat them out. And I literally mean that in every sexual reference possible. You have to eat their gooey bubble out. I'm dead serious. I know, I'll give you a minute to process that information, as disgusting as that sounds. It is. So, your main form of attack is to dash into the enemy and eat them. Nom nom. No, you don't have to scare them anymore, but hey, if the enemies are too difficult, you can, I suppose. Some enemies won't go down so easily, like the Fire and Ice Ghost, which you need to use your corresponding powers to defeat, like Fire Power or the Ice Power, to freeze the enemies and then eat them, or melt the enemies and then eat them. Not a difficult concept. Is it seeming a little bit dumbed down to you? Good, because all the worlds are pretty generic also. You have your generalized Pac City, then you have some temple, another world, an ice world, a fire world, and so on and so forth. Not very creative, but different, I'll give them that. Except that in each level there are a certain amount of dots that you have to get to unlock the next levels, and you have to complete almost all levels in each world. There are collectibles like cherries, coins, and of course the numerous dots that you have to pick up. But the collection system doesn't work that well also. So when you go near a dot, it doesn't automatically cling to you. You have to be pretty close to get it to cling to you. And also you can't just touch power-ups, you have to actually eat them. All of them. Everything. You can't even activate a light that you might need to eat to proceed into the next area without biting it. Some of these lights and activation things are on the edge of oblivion. Yeah, you heard me right. There's a life system in this game. If you fall in one of these never-ending falling places where you just fall forever, you die, and you have to start over from a checkpoint. The checkpoints are somewhat generous, but iffy at best. At one point in time, I was about to beat a level, and I accidentally pressed the wrong button and chomped off the side of the level, and I had to do a whole section over again, even though I was literally next to the fruit that I had to eat. Not the best of examples or the best of times in video games for me, but nevertheless extremely annoying. So, I mentioned my daughter enjoying this game, but not being able to get anywhere. And I mentioned this game being dumbed down. Well, let me tell you right now, the controls are horrendously bad. For the most part, it works. But when I say that, there are parts where you might have to be Chameleon Pack, and you might have to latch onto a lamppost and fling yourself around in some kind of swinging motion. A lot of games implement this feature, like Castlevania, where you're swinging, and for the most part it works, but it is pretty iffy in those games as well. But in this game, it's just really iffy. Sometimes you won't even cling onto it at times, which is a serious problem, since you have a life system, so when you fall, you die. And there were points in time where you had to become Ball Pack. Yes, a giant graphite ball pack. That was its name. Graphite Ball Pac-Man. Okay, don't get it confused with Ball Pac-Man, as creative as that is, because later on you'll become a bouncy ball. But once again, I had to fling myself into a giant hole, yes, as sexual as that sounds, and just hit the end checkpoint. That's it, just hit it. Done. Finished. But I kept missing. I would hit the top or the bottom, and I kept falling to my death. Annoyed yet? Well, guess what? The game's controls may be simplistic in nature, but they require a lot of memorization on what you need to do, like freezing ghosts before you eat them and things of that nature. My daughter is not to the level at which this is very easy to do. She is only 4 years old, I understand that, but the point is, this game appeals to a much younger audience. I don't really think any teenagers would enjoy it, so it has to be lower than the teen audience there. As ridiculous as this sounds, I only think a small specific age group would enjoy this game. Maybe 7 to 10 years old, because the lower in the age, the child can't figure out what to do properly. Sure, they turn into Chameleon Pack, and yeah, they'll need your help a lot, but you don't want to play the game for the kid. And that's the whole point of this game. If it's for children, you shouldn't have to play it as the adult. And if it's for adults, children shouldn't want to play it, because it's geared towards adults. So it's not really fit for anyone, because it's so convoluted and hard to control. I'm telling you, you will almost want to break your controller because the chameleon lock-on stats just won't work. You won't lock on to the thing you need to swing on. And some of your jumps just won't make it. The depth perception needed to play this game is pretty great. And there are some traps in this game that are just really shitty for a person who has to work with a life system. Overall, the game itself was a great idea, but I can just tell that it's a game that's based on a TV show for marketing up the TV show, or getting the money from those who enjoy the TV show. At best, this game is mediocre, but I really wouldn't even put it in that league, because I really don't care about it. I don't care that the city's being invaded by ghosts. There's literally no reason for me to stop it. I don't care. I don't care about the snow levels. When you rescue the citizens, all they do is stand around and look at you in the same spot that you rescued them from. They don't even leave the area. There's still ghosts coming. It doesn't make sense. And when you're rolling around in your graphite ball form, it's a pretty serious challenge. If you fall off, you lose your power up, and you don't lose hearts, and you don't die immediately, but more than likely you will, because you fall into water, and maybe sometimes you hit a spinning platform that drops you under it, and you won't be able to get back up. So it might as well just take away the heart system and kill you immediately when you fall. I don't understand why some levels let you fall into this acidic goo, but as soon as you fall off the city's platform, you fall to your death. So, the difficulty scales up immediately. The difficulty is there in the beginning, and there's literally no reason to be attached to the characters. The story progression is awful. The gameplay and the controls are decent, but really watered down because of the fact of a flipping system and the motion it takes for you to control your ball on the small little pathways you have to guide it. And then, of course, to top it all off, the voice actors. Pac-Man isn't voiced by Ash Ketchum, but you will swear on your life that he is. Look, guys, if you're going to get this game for a kid or anything, that might be fine, but don't expect them to be able to play through it unless they're at a certain level where they're still entertained by colors and magic, and yet smart enough to understand the controls, the convoluted controls, and how to exactly make these jumps in the 3D depth perception and solve puzzles. So, in between maybe 7 to 13-year-olds. Not a big age group to be able to buy this game for, play, and keep forever. So, my rating for this game is a D-. It's almost failing if it just didn't work. But it does, kind of. You wouldn't want to play it. I wouldn't even suggest renting it, buying it, or even looking at it. If you find a walkthrough online, just watch that. It will be equally as entertaining as this game, because the frustration level is definitely there. I'm Protomario, and I'm signing out. And once again, guys, thanks for watching this review. Check out my other reviews if you're interested in seeing much, much better games.